Welcome everybody to USL Live Season 54 Week 3 Preview Edition. Tonight, joining me in the booth, I have both Mecca and Draco.
Well, fans.
Yo.
And we will also be reviewing last week's matches. I doubt it's going to take much time, but let's jump right into it. And the first match being Do the Do versus Care Package. 83-31, your MVP was Iron. Mecca, take it away.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate game because they were missing Leek, Sabo, and Shasta. Three of, if not their three best players. So it was kind of a foregone conclusion. I think Axie did play well. Danny had some bright spots too, but I think we were just too powerful. Neg did kill like three guys in school at one point too, so I think it was school, it might have been plus, but I'm pretty sure it was school, so that was pretty funny. Other than that, I think everybody kind of knew what was going to happen with considering the lineups. I'm looking forward to the rematch later in the year when they have their full lineup, and hopefully they can be a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, that's fair. Draco?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Kind of expected, unfortunately not. Care Package not having the players there that were normally there, but I did notice that Spoils played pretty decent for Care Package, so that was kind of a pleasant surprise. Axis didn't have a really great game, unfortunately, but hopefully they'll bounce back next week. But kind of expected to see this match go the way it did.
Yeah, I'm assuming Axie led for them in that match. I will say Spoils had some nice laws on Pister. I caught it in the video towards the end there. I will say that it is definitely an interesting group of individuals that are on Do the Do, because half the people want to push, the other half don't. And it's frustrating at times, as my lovely team image showed. But I think the game could have went way worse for CP based off that lineup if people just got their heads out of their asses, myself included at times. But yeah, moving on to the next match, we had Bugs over CCP 80-17. Your MVP was Chica. Mecca?
Yeah, same idea here. Esau popped off, Tumpy popped off. Clear collusion in fantasy. Top three teams were all Bugs players who have control over the lineups. Didn't play Ernie, etc. like that. So fantasy's dead. Bugs killed it. Collusion. That's all I got to say about this game.
Draco?
Yeah, not much to say. Wish it was more competitive if NTs were allowed, but the addition of Darth and K would probably make this game a little bit closer. Probably would have been the same result, but nonetheless.
I wouldn't have said those two for this game specifically would have made it closer. Maybe their next match, 100%. But yeah, it was as expected. And the collusion, any captain can do that. Pister's known to do it too, so there's no surprise there. Just got to do a better job of looking at who bonds or tactical pick in their fantasy and copy it. But yeah, I have nothing more to add to that match. Probably the most exciting match of the night was this next one, at least for the first 15, and that was Dead Squad versus CCP. The final score got to kind of where we thought it would be, but man, that first 15 was quite pretty wild. 93-42, your MVP was Dave in favor of Dead Squad. Mecca, take it away.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty fun match to watch. Like you said, the first half of it at least. I didn't ever think CCP was gonna win, but I think it exposed Dead Squad a little bit. I think once they get a real leader in Darth in there, Kevin playing, those two alone are such a big upgrade over what they had, that I think it could be a really competitive match. And I think they have home on KR actually.
They do.
In the rematch, so it could be very interesting. Sniper's not nearly as useless on KR. It's actually probably the most OP class on KR, maybe with Ripper. So you'll see Bax actually have an effect. Like Bax did hit a couple shots, but he's leading and they're wanting to like push chokes self choke when he's sniper, and it just doesn't work. Like flanking around the base is cool and all, but like it doesn't really work when you're pushing with immobile classes like a Ripper and Sniper.
Yeah.
So hopefully in the next match, Darth kind of cleans that up. He obviously has tons of experience leading on KR, so we'll see. I still expect Dead Squad to win, but I think it will be a competitive match in the rematch.
All right, Draco.
Yeah, it was a good showing by CCP. Darth was in there, K was in there. Would have been a different story, especially with the leading part of it. I know there was a couple of I don't know, if it was pushes that CCP had, or they overstayed in a couple of battles. And if they played it right, I mean, it could have been the difference here. Maybe CCP comes out with the win here. Chuck played well. I know Jaeger played well on CCP, and then Typhoon went off on Dead Squad there, so he had a pretty good game along with Pandy. So, and Llama, he played well as medic too. So, I mean, if once Darth and Kay join in, I could see this rematch being really exciting. So,
Yeah, I mean, I will say that the re-addition of Oct in the lineup is a huge boon for backs because the rest of that team is very, aside from when obviously you get Darth and Kevin in, very inexperienced. And it is hard enough to lead, but when you have to micromanage completely new players on top of it and you're sniping, it just was bound to be disastrous. So Oct being in and probably helping call focus on whether or not he streamed somebody or he saw backs at a snipe, etc., definitely helped out. I saw them take down Pandy a few times and get some good kills. Obviously, they were trading the lead back and forth for the first 15 up until four people ran out of the right side of the DS twice and just boxed themselves in. And then also overstayed in the South Rocks, giving away essentially 5 or 6 free kills. And then from there, it was just the races were on for Dead Squad to stat pad them. But I do fully expect in the rematch, Darth will play that slower pace. He knows he's going to have a Ripper and Sniper, so he's going to play close to his base and just take full advantage of that. But moving on to the next match and final match of the night, it was Bugs versus American Eagle, 110-36. And I said it in the commentary. I fully expected American Eagle to do better than CCP in terms of slowing it down, and man, did they prove me wrong. Mecca, go ahead.
I didn't actually watch this match, so I'll pass. I assume it turned out exactly like I did, so I'll pass to you guys.
Yeah, Draco, go ahead.
yeah, I'll be honest, we were just way too predictable. We just kept going to the same spots. Like, oh, we went south, and then the next battle we went back up north. So it's very easy for Bugs to kind of figure us out. We didn't really set up too many plays, but it wasn't that much of a difference between CCP and us. I think it was 11 kill difference overall. But yeah, definitely way too predictable, and we should have played a lot better.
Yeah, Mike C needs to give up the Ranger dream. I know he really likes the class, so does Chompy, but as the leader and everything, he's got to be able to keep focus fire on people that are a certain distance away, and you can't do that as a Ranger, right? Especially if he's leading. I'm assuming he's calling out most of the focus, Draco?
He is. I mean, Smack as well, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, I fully expect him to possibly, especially on KR, switch back to Marine. I know UD is this week, but yeah, it was ugly. So we could just move on to the next week's matches. The first match has the potential to be good. It depends on if Leak, Shasta, Sabo, all of Care Package's starting lineup show. But it will be Bugs at Care Package at 9:30, and Care Package won the coin toss. I don't think they chose to defer or select side yet, though. So, Mecca, go ahead.
Yeah, this one should be good. Kind of obviously is going to depend. I do still think left side is better on UD, so if Care Package can get UD, it'll be a little bit closer. They all have a lot of experience on this map. I don't think it's Bugs' best map, but I think Ernie will probably play demo, which is absolutely dominant on this map. I think you should see a demo for every team on this map. So I think if Ernie can kind of control South as demo, then they'll be good. If care package does get left, I would tell them to avoid South. Right gets to Titan gets to the South way quicker, and once they have that, it's almost an impossible to push, especially if they have a demo on the other side. So if you do get bottom side, just avoid South Rocks like the plague. If you get right side, I think I would still go north because you don't want to fight that demo, because I don't think anybody on care package actually plays demo, maybe Savo, but I wouldn't want to take them off, LMG or something. So as far as a prediction goes, I'm still going to take Bugs no matter what side, but I do think this will be a relatively close match. I think Bugs will end up winning by like 20-ish because they'll be up a battle or two, and care package will be forced to push at the very end.
Okay, Draco.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty close game. Be interested to see if Leak's going to be more aggressive. I don't know if that's going to work in his favor. It might. I think the team plays pretty well aggressive, so we'll see. And like Mecca said, it depends on what side they choose. Yeah, is UD really good for assault trooper? Would
Yes.
you say? I'm not.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So I think that's going to be the big difference here. Is Chompy just having a game here and just corralling care package, keeping that vision on them. I would just like to see how care package handles that. So I'm very interested to see. I guess my prediction would be maybe 70-55 in favor of Bugs, but it can be a little bit closer. It depends on how things go during the match.
I gotcha. I agree with Mecca. I don't think care package really has anybody that could play demo well. So I would avoid the closed off areas, which there's not a ton of open areas that you can overload, but I would look to overload the team that clearly doesn't have the demo and is in position to utilize it, right? Unless Nin shows, I don't see a competent AT on care package either. So yeah, Chompy's going to get those free angles unless Shash shows and plays it like he did in the semifinals. But even then, there's so many closed positions and buildings to work around as an AT that you can get essentially whatever flank you want, especially, obviously, if it's unchecked. So I see Chompy and Ernie both having a good game. And, of course, ESO, whether he's Marine or whether he's LMG. I don't think it matters. I think we'll see Kaga in this match, so he'll probably go Marine. But I do agree. I think Bugs takes it. I don't think it's going to be close. In all honesty, I think it's going to be probably about a 25 kill lead for Bugs before they have to push. I think Sabo still isn't making it. Obviously, we all agree that Ninja's going to be a no-show. And history shows that Shas doesn't show up to the hard matches, so I doubt he shows. Hopefully Leo can make it and give Exodus a break from leading, because it's going to be needed. But I think the final score is going to be roughly like 75, 30, 35, somewhere in that range for Bugs. So moving on to the next match, we have Click Clack Pow versus Do the Do at 10:15. CCP won the coin toss and deferred. Mecca?
Yeah, so obviously we're gonna take bottom side. Obviously it's gonna be a boon for them to get Darth and Kevin in. Hopefully Pliskin shows up, Chuck, Devil Dog, all those guys. The issue with Darth does not know this map at all. And the Click Click Pow guys don't want to SB us. They only want to SB, American Eagle and stuff on this map, so they're not going to get any better at it. So I think that's going to be their downfall. I do think Darth is still a good leader and keeps them more organized, but this map is just not for the faint of heart. With Saab rolling around, AT, we're gonna have LMG, maybe a nader, maybe a demo, something. We'll see what the classes end up being, but I think this is gonna end up being pretty bad for CCP, even with Darth in.
Okay, Draco.
Yeah, it's gonna be really tough for CCP to come out on top of this one, especially this is. I think I call this some kind of Sov's map in a way. I think he's really good on this map and leading. I don't know if he's going to slow it down. It's a pretty quick map to play on, so it's very fast respawn. So I don't know if slowing it down is going to help too much. But I think the result is probably going to be Do the Do takes this probably around like 80 kills to maybe 35-40 for what am I sorry mixed up here. It's gonna be like 75-25, somewhere around there for Do the Do to take it. But I do feel that there is some difference there with Darth and some of the other players they picked up, but I just feel like without that map knowledge that Sov has, it's going to be a rout almost.
I will give a shout out to Devil Dog coming back. He was SBing last night against us and was doing pretty well for somebody who's just come back, and that's an instant upgrade for these guys as second medic, and maybe allows Llama to switch to Marine, which will also help them out a lot, but not in this match. Again, Draco, you already alluded to it. Urban Decay is probably Sov's favorite map, at least of the newer iteration of maps that have been made. And again, they're not going to have an AT to check them. And it's very easy to figure out where the team's going to be going once you obviously have that AT vision. I expect Darth to set up a lot of building ambushes. I don't think you really see that all that much the past few seasons. Like some of the obscure buildings, like kind of middle left or even controller building, people ambush outside of it or just above it in those north rocks, but they really never set anything up. And I fully expect Darth to try and utilize some of these buildings to set up ambushes and maybe catch Sov or whatever group runs through it, right? I think Jeff will get his nading debut against these guys. But I think the score is going to be higher than what you said, Draco. I know Darth's going to try and slow it down, but if that first battle's clean, it's just going to be off to the races, right? So I'm going to say it's going to be roughly 85 to about 20-25 in favor of Do the Do. Next match would be Do the Do versus Dead Squad. Another potential match that could be a fairly decent one depending on who shows and who plays for Dead Squad and who leads. Nobody tossed the coin for this, so we don't know who's going to defer or what. So, Mecca, go ahead.
Yeah, I think this will be very close. Manu and Bird are going to want to play this one really close to the chest. They're going to want to play this super slow. They're aware of how good the Sov crew is on this map. So I think they're gonna realize that and then really try to slow it down. So there's not just 20 angles attacking you at once. They'll have a solo, probably uni, trying to check Sov's angles for the solo. So that'll be interesting to see how they play that. I think that. Sorry, go ahead.
I will say this because you mentioned slowing it down. I've seen over the last since we've been back, everybody try and slow things down too much to the point where they allow the other team to just surround you. Like they stagnate and just become cannon fodder to all the angles like you were mentioning. So I get wanting to slow things down, but you got to do it differently than what has been happening these last few seasons. Like all the camping ambushes with an AT and how fast they can move even without the dash, you can check so much real estate on a map and kind of pinpoint exactly where they're at, and then you just get surrounded. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Was it me or is it Draco now?
You.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I don't think they're gonna camp necessarily. They're just not gonna. Basically, I think the way Dead Squad wants to play it is they want a little amount of battles. They don't want 20 battles. They're gonna want 8 to 10 battles in the game. It gives them a better chance of winning. Gives us less time to move around the map. So I don't necessarily think they're gonna all out camp. They'll just play to their advantages. So they'll play maybe they play rocks with Typhoon, something like that. Something that makes it not so easy for us to just surround and dissect them. So I think that's the big advantage that we have on this map. So they'll do something like that. Try to play a lot of rocks, try to play a lot of north. Just not make it easy accessible points where you can get surrounded by 5 different angles with no chance.
All right, Draco.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting match for sure. Just to your point, slowing it down, it does make a lot of sense to play, especially, you're up against the best team in the league right now. However, you have to have perfect play, right? You have to play very well. And Dead Squad last week, there was quite a bit of mistakes, some of the veteran players as well. And if you're going to make those mistakes against, a top tier team like Do, I feel like it's it's going to be one sided to a degree. Like they're going to win the battles, and they might take one battle. Dead Squad might take a couple potential. But I feel like it's going to be like 50-35 for Do. I just don't know if Dead Squad has any plays or anything, or how they're going to counteract Sov's leadership. So that's how I feel about that one.
Fair enough. I think this is the game where Manu actually fully takes over the reins for leading, because, as Mecca said, they're going to want to slow it down. And I think at times Bird gets too antsy and wants to do something, and it just doesn't work out. So I think Manu takes over for this match, maybe the rest of the season after this, depending on how well or how poorly it goes. You know what I mean? I do expect them to play around rocks a lot, South Rocks, because, again, Bird's probably going to lead, even though I think Manu should, and South is king. I think the score is going to be higher than what you think it is, though, Draco, because if they're going to play South as king, they're going to be open to just a lot of angles and everything like that. So I think it's going to be closer to about 65-30, 65-25, somewhere around that range.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah.
So then the last match of the night is Dead Squad versus American Eagle. DS won the coin toss, and they're going to choose the side. I expect them to choose bottom left. So Mecca, go ahead.
Wait, you said DS won the
Yeah.
coin toss? Yeah, they'll play bottom left. Yeah, Dead Squad, I think because they lose to Do the game before, they're going to want to really push the pace on this one. So I think you'll see them go everywhere. I think you might even see Bird nade. In a few SPs last night, he naded a few battles. The mortars are super good on this map. So I think you'll see something like that. As far as score goes, I don't think it's going to be a surprise when it's a pretty inflated score. Probably going to win by 70-ish. I think we'll say 70. I think they're going to win by 70. Something like 95-25 or some shit like that.
Okay. Draco?
Yeah, I feel like Dead Squad's going to take this without too much issue, especially having the chosen side there. My only ask out of my squad would be, less predictability and, set up some plays here and there. But I just feel like, it's going to be that one game where they're going to want to bounce back, after their loss. So I feel like they're going to take all their frustrations out on us, just like Mecca said. So yeah, my prediction is going to be somewhere around like 90-35 for Dead Squad.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree. I don't think there's any debate that Dead Squad's gonna win. It's just about how much. Like Draco, you said, the predictability thing. It's definitely very easy to figure out where Mike C and Smackrock want to go, which ends up getting them surrounded all the time. I mean, yeah, Mike C's got to get off Ranger once again, play Marine, focus. I think Smackrock needs to get off Medic, but that then puts Eva or that dude in, so that's hard. But I feel like he's one of the better killers, and he's stuck playing Medic. So that's kind of rough. So I think the score is going to be roughly, yeah, yours is about right, like 95-20, 95-15, somewhere in that range, in favor of Dead Squad, especially because they have left side. I've got 4 mailbag questions. Have either of you gotten any since we've started?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
I got one as well.
Perfect. I'll start off with one, and then we'll go Mecca Draco. And I'm gonna get the troll one out of the way. I'm sure everybody can guess who wrote this. Since it is our beloved admin's birthday, will the panel each say one nice thing about Fausto? I'll start. Fuck you, Fausto.
No.
That's all I got, man.
All right, Mecca, go ahead.
Should the league revise the NT rules? We saw on Sunday that we had 2 matches that could have been way more competitive, but because of the NT rules, they ended up being blowouts. Obviously, they're talking about Kevin and Darth. As far as I understand why Kevin wasn't able to play since he played for us week 1, but somebody like Darth who didn't even play in week 1, I think that should be revised. I think if you don't play in the week 1 match or week 2, whatever it is before the roster lock, then your NT status shouldn't be ineligible. If you play, yeah, sure, I understand. Kevin shouldn't be able to play because he helps squads, but with Darth, it just seems like it's a detriment to the league to not allow those kind of people to play.
Well, then wouldn't you have to revise the part that states, because even if they were allowed, all the people that were already eligible because of no hopping or anything like that would have had to play over them based off of how the rules are written, right? So that part would also have
but
to
I
be
think
revised.
they should just be eligible, which would kind of cover the both. Like if you didn't play in the any games for the squad that you jumped from, you should just be able to play. You should not be ineligible. And it makes sense, and not even just for the Darth thing, but like if you get benched week 1 by a squad and you leave to join a different squad, now you can't play week 2 either because you got benched. Right. I don't understand what the defense of that would be.
I think also there's maybe another way you could look at it too, is maybe they're allowed to play, but they sit a different match like of their choosing, and that might be something to look at as well. So like, if they're up against like American Eagle, they want to be like, hey, you know what, we don't need Darth or Kay for that match, so we'll sit them for that match and we'll let them play for the others, something like that. But I mean, for like a week 1 or a couple weeks into the thing, I don't think it should matter that much.
No, I get it. I'm of the stance that definitely Kay shouldn't have played or shouldn't have been able to play based off of him playing a match already for Do the Do. However, I agree that Darth should have been kind of eligible. Again, like Micah said, he didn't play for Dead Squad when he was on them. And would it have changed the actual outcome? Probably not, but the match definitely would have stayed close versus
it would have been better for the league.
Yeah,
more competitive.
So I mean, I will say that the revisement that we did, what was it, like season 22 of the NTs, have made it better, but there's definitely these one-off scenarios that could be adjusted. Draco, what's your question?
All right, who do you guys think are the best 1v1 players in the game, and who is the worst, do you think?
Okay, Bax.
The worst. The worst, I mean, Bax honestly has to be up there. When he's not dueling, the guy has the Sunday scare is bad. When you see him on a Sunday, he's free lunch. It's pretty bad, honestly, not even trolling. If he's not playing like sniper, even if he's playing LMG, he's just gonna rush you and you can kill him. The hardest to kill, I think, is well, it's kind of slighted because obviously Chompy and Sob are hard to kill 1-on-1 because they're playing fucking AT with armor, and you need to hit 7 SGs to kill them. So that's obviously a little bias on that one. But as far as like non ATs go, hardest people to kill. I think I still put Soul in there. Soul is still so fucking hard to hit. And I'll put an underrated one in there too. I'll put Cage in there. I think Cage is one of the better one-on-one players in the league. I mean, that guy's aim is actually incredible. His dodge is pretty good too. Sometimes he's out of position in front, but if you see Cage on like a solo flank, it's just not easy to kill him. I mean, you might be able to, but he's going to take you down to quite a bit low HP. So those would be my two kind of answers. And, obviously there's all the really good players too, but those would be my two interesting answers.
My take is, yeah, I'll avoid the AT thing just because of dash armor, whatever. Obviously, they're hard to kill regardless because they're both good with aiming. They both mouse. It's whatever. We get that. I'm gonna say Leak is hard to kill 1-on-1 because he's when he's not leading and he's actually focused on just fighting for the angle and everything and soloing like that. I think Leo is very difficult to fight, or rather just hit. It's easy to dodge his streams, but trying to hit him at the same time is annoying. Easiest person I kind of agree is Bax. Like you said, Sunday Scaries is very real for him. Another easy one is probably Mike C. They're same side of the coin to me. I will say when he's playing Marine, I mean, no, this kind of falls into that. I was gonna say Ninja, but let me throw in Shas because he's just gonna get the vision and then run 10 chords like Bax dueling. So that's what I got. Draco, who you got?
So for the best, I want to say like Noskeeper can be pretty terrifying to go 1-on-1 against. I don't know if he's going to come back at all this season or not, but that guy's pretty solid. And then also I would say Legacy as well. Very solid player. But I guess for like activity wise, like right now, man, it's really tough to say here who would be. I mean, Samara's pretty solid too. I like Danny, and Danny could be pretty frightening. Like 2v1, like he comes out on top quite often in 2v1, so that guy's got some pretty good aim. I do agree with Mecca there on Cage. He's looking pretty solid right now as well. As far as the worst to go up against, or the worst 1v1er, man, I want to say, man, who would I say here? I mean, I guess I'll go with the panel. We'll go with Bax. Why not?
All right. I got one more to add because of what happened this past Sunday. Iso's got to be the worst because he got pieced up by Llama 1v1 above school. I don't care if you have 50 HP. You're LMG versus a medic dude. Hit your shots.
All right. Llama tore him up.
Let's see. After seeing squads play their first few games and the changes to rosters, what teams are better or worse than expected, and what teams do you see coming up that could surprise you or or as we get closer to championship week? Jesus Christ.
Can I answer the same squad for this question?
Sure.
I think it's Dead Squad for both. I think they struggled for CCP early, even though Menu won't admit it. I mean, I never really thought they were going to lose the game, but I think also by the time they're in midseason form, they're going to be a very formidable squad to play against. And those guys always play up in playoffs too, as you've seen a lot of them on DS in the past. Have definitely played better in the playoffs than they did in the regular season. So I think Dead Squad's my answer for that two-part question for both sides.
I agree, specifically because as the season goes on, Dave unrusts, and he's going to be a very vital piece once he's off of Medic. I think he's just honestly playing Medic right now to help unrust, whether it's just dodging or whatever and getting used to the maps again, etc. But I think you see him switch back to a combat class towards the end of the season and really ramp up that killing potential. What about you, Draco?
Yeah, I had Dead Squad kind of as a dark horse for me, especially with some of the players they picked up. If all these players like unrust and they build that chemistry, it's a scary team. Like they could be very competitive and they might be able to take out like do down later on in the season. So
okay, Mecca, you said you got a few more.
Yeah, so I got two different ones that kind of deal with the same topic, so I'll kind of combine them. So I'll read the first one first. Basically talking about my question for the panel: did the almost unused Ranger class deserve to be nerfed without public explanation or broader discussion? Based on the hysterical whims of someone who wasn't even playing the game anymore, I think they're referring to Champ here. And so I'll ask this first, and I'll answer this part first. It was also buffed without public explanation. Like captains weren't asked about the 45 to Ranger long rifle. So to nerf it back to before the change, I don't think is that big of a deal. I think 45 inner for that long rifle is too much, considering there's absolutely no delay between long rifle, throwing knife, and then MP5. I think if it did 45, it would actually be overpowered, even if people didn't really use it before. So I don't think the public deserved an explanation of the nerf when it didn't get an explanation of the buff.
I agree with that, but I'm gonna go with I think that if we were to if we're looking at tweaking the Ranger class in general, I think we got to stop looking at the marksman rifle, especially because sniper's back in the league, and focus on the MP5. And the throwing knife is fine, but I think that a little bit more range could help it. But then you also gotta like fix the independent reload stuff. I don't think that should be a thing for especially how much damage that class can do if you hit all your combos, right? So I think that
Yeah,
should get
that's
adjusted.
the big issue, right? Like I think Ranger would be better without long rifle and some sort of buff to knife and MP5, but MP5 enough knife is already so strong. Like I would be hesitant to buff it. So it's a really intricate issue in my opinion. So I don't really have the answer for that.
I think if you look at uh what the delay between AR and SG, if you put that with the MP5 and throwing knife and buff the
Mhm.
MP5 a little bit, I think it would be fine. But that
Yeah.
obviously we'd have to test it and see. But I going back to what you said, yeah, the captains weren't talked about or talked to in regards to increasing the marksman rifle damage, so there's really no need to talk to them about uh, reverting that change. So what was the second part of the question?
So the second part was, well, it was a different person, but I'll just add the second part. What does the panel think of the nerfs and buffs done this past offseason? Do you feel the class playing field is as fair as ever? Um,
Uh,
I'll let you guys answer first this time.
yeah. I still feel like LMG is still a little too powerful, but I think we talked about this before we touched on it. We don't want to like completely strip the class and then remove it down to nothing and no one wants to play it, or just remove it from the playing to be even played into the game. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be some change. I hope there's some changes going into next season, because we can't just continue to allow a class like LMG to have such success. Obviously, the incendiary needs was definitely a huge nerf to them. I mean, it was a pain in the ass to deal with that and the LMG, so they're not as effective. But and then with the Ranger class, I think the only thing like we talked about as well is just implementing some type of delay in between, when they switch to the MP5 and the marksman rifle. Like that could really make it more balanced. So I think yeah, that's my thoughts on that at least. So.
I think the changes were a step in the right direction. Um, I I was actually and maybe Mecca might be bringing it up next, probably AT, but the map selection is another thing too, right? Because KR AT is going to be pretty useless. LMG will still be strong. Ranger's going to be useless. Nader's going to be pretty useless as well on KR. But the
They're all
map,
useless.
yeah, we gotta look at the classes individually, but then we also gotta kind of look at the season ahead and see, okay, these maps are going to be selected, so there's going to be public outcry because these specific maps are going to be great for the classes, whether they're nerfed, buffed, or untouched. You know what I mean? Obviously, LMG is going to be good on every map. That's just how it is. So is Marine. But again, you got to think of it. LMG is one per squad. Same with AT. And LMG is supposed to be a little bit better than Marine. Obviously, it's way outperforming, but it's also at the hands of whoever's using it, right? For the most part. I will say that it does dramatically increase certain people if they switch from Marine to LMG. I won't name names. I'm not going to be mean today.
Name names. Name names.
Splitter. But that's all I got.
Yeah, I was gonna say some classes look more overpowered in seasons, like you were just saying, based on map selection. Ernie was talking about what would you change for LMG. I actually think LMG is in a pretty good spot. The only extra change I would do is to match AR damage, but keep the fire rate, so it's faster, but it does the same damage as AR. I think that would be the ultimate nerf and balance. But again, the way it is now, I think it's in a great spot. I don't think it feels overpowered. Again,
Wouldn't
good
that
players
change?
are gonna be.
Wouldn't that change just make
Go
a
ahead.
trooper then? I think that's exactly
Yeah.
what trooper is.
Yeah, pretty much what it is. Yeah,
Get rid
just
of
with
trooper.
less range. Yeah.
With less, well, it has less range too, because I think the trooper bullets go further. But yeah, so I think LMG is an actually a good spot. I would like to see 1 damage. It's literally only 1 damage. Get nerfed, but if it doesn't happen, I think it's fine. I think the reduction down to 40 in the clip, it was a great change, and I think it's in a really good spot right now. Like everybody always argues, there's only one, and now that it only has 40 bullets, I think it's in a pretty good spot. Ranger again is perplexing to me. It's the most overpowered yet useless class in the game. Doesn't really make sense. The throwing knife MP5, no delay, should dominate, but if it's anywhere in the open, you're absolutely screwed. If it's around a rock, you're good. So you just have to really. I think it is good on EC. I'm surprised we didn't see more of it on EC, because you can dodge around rocks, dodge around mid, really close quarter combat. I think demo's in a good spot. I know some people will say it's OP, but again, demo is kind of shit on some maps. Like demo on KR would be horrendous. It's obviously really good on EC. It's pretty good on UD. So demo's going to look a little overpowered this season if more than just Ernie play it. The one thing I would say is Nader, and I know all my friends have played Nader in the past season or so. From the outside looking in, Nader seems OP because you have mortars, but you obviously have to aim them. Mortars not an easy shot to hit. But when you 40 a medic while they're shooting PDW, so they're not fucking healing, and they just walk away and it's a center hit, it's just too much RNG for me. If you hit on the side,
what is up with that?
Yeah, like if you hit a 40 on the side of the med and they live, no big deal. Understandable, shouldn't do full HP. If you hit direct center in their vehicle, especially if they're shooting PDW, which has happened many times to me in this offseason, Kevin has talked about it. Eric was talking about it last night. BB has talked about it. People who've played Nader before, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if it's a server thing, like with nades and laws, and it's not doing damage, but the 40 should kill a medic in one shot. If it hits direct, if they're not healing.
I had made a suggested change to Nader, and it kind of nerfs mortars, but would buff the damage of the 40, right? My suggested change was that you convert mortar into almost like a the hell am I thinking? A dot damage. So it gives like medics or whoever gets hit a chance to kind of out heal the damage, pre-heal, etc. Because there have been plenty of times that the blast radius doesn't match where the person dies, i.e. look at like the slob gif. Like
Ernie, please. Ernie, please post it.
Yeah, like I mean,
there it is.
I feel like the mortar can get changed into a dot damage, and you buff the 40, and it's okay. I mean, I still think it's pretty okay because, as you said, mortars are pretty hard to hit unless you know the team is just camping one spot and you can take the time to line it up. But other than that, I think going back to Ranger again, I think people just get too caught up on the marksman rifle of it, and this is like the Ranger identity struggle, right? Versus on certain maps, yeah, that would be fine if you want to focus on that and the throwing knife. But if you're playing on ECUD, you got to play with your team up front and utilize the MP5 knife combo, right? Versus even bothering to use the marksman rifle. But Draco, you got anything to add to the classes?
Not too much. I know I kind of like hinted on with the Grenadier is using the 40 millimeter ammo and having a cooldown on the mortar. That way they didn't have like 2 shots, but they would use the 40 millimeter ammo and kind of balance it out in a way, and I think it'd make it more interesting at the very least. At least give it a try. I still would like to see Trooper implemented. I think that's going to come in next season, I hope, because I really enjoy that class. It's really good for support players. Kind of in between like an LMG and a Marine, so I kind of like to have the extra bullets to shoot, so it's kind of fun. But as far as like Ranger is concerned, I think just implementing a delay, that way they're not doing this crazy combo, would be a really great thing to implement into the league, I think. And then with AT, the dual pistol thing, I still with like a little less range on that, and maybe having alternating, shooting just makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more, skill play with it too.
Ernie brought up a point. Should we bring back the bouncy nader?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Let's see. What do I got? Is CT more detrimental in his USL squad or his CTF squad? Any takers?
I haven't seen him play in CTF, so
It's definitely CTF. Probably because the squad's worse in USL, but once Darth and Kevin start playing, it might change over. The thing with CTF is he just pushes out, kind of like what he does in SK. And if he pushes out in CTF and dies too early without doing enough damage, he kind of fucks the whole defense. Whereas if he does it in SK, I don't think it matters as much, because he's going to do damage. Sometimes he gets a kill, and they're probably not going to win those battles anyways. So I think because of the squad imbalance, it's more impactful in CTF.
I agree. I think it's CTF, especially because apparently he's evolving. He did not. I think 6 people last night crossed baselines, and CT was not one of them from his squad.
Oh no.
So
MVP.
Yeah.
He's a dog. He's a wolf. He's a dog.
So yeah, Mecca, you got more?
Yeah. Couple lineup questions. I know everybody loves these, so I'll ask these. First one is about bugs. Which player is going to bench if Rio and TG join? Or I guess which players?
Hold on, let me.
I guess Cage would bench.
Yeah.
Dang.
So I mean, I think your must starts are Chompy, Ernie, Iso, Fausto. I don't think TG's joining, so I'm gonna leave TG up. I've seen Rio SP with him a few times, so I think you end up with Ernie, Iso, Chompy, Fausto, Kaga, Rio in that case, with Fax and Slob or Fax and Bonds medding. Would be my guess. So I guess you could say you'd bench Fax as Marine and switch him to Med, and then add Rio LMG Kaga Marine.
Yeah,
I think it would make the medic question the most interesting. I think, which is not the intent of the question, but it really would, because I think you have to start Fax as Med if he's not starting Marine, right? Like I think Fax is the best Med on that squad. I don't think that's controversial. But then you get Bonds and Slav, and that's a very, very close decision.
Yeah, I agree. I think Cage benches, and then I think Fax reverts back to Medic. I agree, though. I don't think TG... I haven't seen him on, so I don't think he's really all that interested. But Rio's definitely been resurfacing and NTing a lot, not just for bugs, but for other squads, mixes, etc. So it's very likely that he ends up joining should he get the itch to play on Sundays. but I do agree. I think obviously because Fausto's leading, he's must start. Iso's playing well, even though they've only played stat pad squad so far. Ernie, Chompy, like those are your mainstays. And yeah, Draco, what you got? Or you already answered, right?
Yeah.
All right. I don't have any more questions, so you can just keep rattling.
Well,
them
I did
off.
have another lineup one.
Mhm.
I think we kind of asked it before, but I'll go over it again. Which players should be starting if they go eights for do the do?
Draco, we'll let you start, since you're not on the squad.
Well,
Starting
actually,
8, huh?
before you do answer, last time we asked this question, Kevin was still on the squad,
True.
and he was one of the people that people said should bench. But now he's on CCP, and I think maybe because of that question, I don't think that's why he joined, but I think he did tell Pister he left because it was making it easier on him for lineup. So sorry, Draco, go ahead.
Oh yeah, this is a difficult one for sure. So I would have probably Eric, Sav, I.
Did you cut out there, or are you still thinking?
Yeah, I'm just still
just
thinking.
those three. Just those
yeah,
three.
just those three. That's it. That's all you need. I probably would have Jeff in there as well. And then you would have probably like Mountain and Split in there as well.
So Pister's gonna
Because I
bench
don't know
himself.
Why not?
Pister's leading.
Pister's leading. Oh, okay.
Pister's leading,
Well, I don't
yeah.
know. Okay. Yeah. I guess we'll put in. Let's say. I would say Pister and Mountain then.
That's what I would say too. Or wait, did
So
you
bench Splitta, Draco?
What's that? I'm sorry.
So you're benching Splitta was your final answer.
That was my final answer. Yes.
Okay.
And I echo it. I gotta get my jabs in while I can, because I'm being nice during the week.
Yeah, I don't want to be mean or anything, but I think Splitta's a really good player, but I think if depending on who's making the decisions, if it's between Pistard or Shadow Captain Saab, it would probably be Splitta, I would assume. I don't think Splitta plays bad or he's a bad player. I just think the squad is pretty fucking stacked for the first 9 players. So, you don't have to worry about champion before anybody brings it up. He's not going to play this season. So he's a non-factor there. But yeah, I guess it'd have to be Splitta.
Ernie. Ah man, I'm only missing 2 weeks in this month, maybe 3. Was the lineup question your last one? Or you got more?
Yeah, I did want to look at the lineup for Dead Squad real quick to see if there's any sort of controversy there, but I don't think there is there?
Let's see. Let me pull them up real quick.
Let's see. So let's pull up Dead Squad. So Bird,
Yeah.
Manu, these are the for sure's. Bird, Manu, Ender, Pandy, Stavudine, Typhoon, and then I think they play Uni no matter what in Dave. Kind of leaves Brillhard out, which I don't agree with, but maybe you put Brillhard in over Uni. It really I think it depends on who you play. If you're playing Bugs or Do, you might want to keep Uni in just to kind of help counter the AT because it's kind of what he excels at. If you're playing Care Package or anybody else, maybe you do Brillhart, but Brillhart's just a really good play. It's kind of like the Splitta thing, like Brillhart is right there with the rest of the starting lineup. It's just unfortunate that it's only 8s, and I think he's probably the first on the chopping block. And then Torch rejoined too, but I don't think he's going to start or anything. think he's a
No.
good player, but I don't think he's built up enough favor there.
I also think he's just too inactive. Like he shows up for like 2 weeks and then disappears for 6 months type stuff. So I
Deletes his
think
Discord.
yeah.
Makes a new one.
Yeah. It would be interesting though to see how quickly Par unrusts because that's another great vocal player, especially on like EC and KR. I know Urban Decay's drawn many comparisons to Triton Badlands, so I know Par knows that map very well too, which was a pub map. Um, but
I think the issue with Par though is Par was never a great individual player. And I think BB's already the weakest Marine in that lineup. I don't think BB's bad. I just think compared to the other people that he plays, he would probably be at the end of the line. So I don't think you can play them both and be competitive with the top squads. I think that'd be the only issue. Because then you'd be benching like Brill and Uni for Par. Doesn't really make a lot of sense for me.
I think the only other thing that I could think of is if Manu is going to be, the leader going forward in the season. I think you could possibly bench Bird and have Brill. I just feel like Brill has better play. So having like Manu and maybe another player like Dave, make calls or something like that. I think probably improves the lineup a little bit there. But yeah, if Bird cleans up his play, I think he can stay in there. But I think there could be the only change I see. Or you could, depending on the map, swap out Brill and Uni because I really like Brill's Law Snipes. So I kind of like that battle opening for him. But Uni kind of plays that scrappy kind of player. He kind of gets in there and, either holds or kind of like a flexible player, does whatever wherever you want him to do. So, but yeah, I think that would be like my thoughts with that.
I agree. Going back to the Uni and Brill comparison, I agree. It depends on who they're gonna play. If they're playing, like Mecca said, or anybody, or really anybody that runs an AT, you put Uni in to just counter that. Other than that, I think Brillhart should be in over him. But yeah, let's see. Is there anybody else? Any other squads that have interesting dynamics? I don't really.
Yeah, I think Care Package does. I know we kind of touched on it before. I was just looking at the Care Package roster, and let me just go over just real quick. We can, because we're kind of running out of time, but just real quickly. Leak. These are the for sure's. Leak, Sabo, Shasta, Danny, Exodus, Victim as your med. So you got 2 slots left, and then you have Hop, Apollo. I think Dilla and Mercy have worked their way in there. This is all assuming Ninja isn't working, or Ninja isn't showing, and then maybe even Rom as a med. But I think you run Apollo med over Rom. So it really comes down to who do you play as the second med, Apollo or Mercy? And if you play Mercy, do you play Apollo or Hop as the 6th Marine?
I stick to what I said in I think last week's preview. I think Apollo, Meds, and Mercy is your Marine. I like Hop. He's active. I just think Mercy's better. Obviously, if Ninja shows, that's the last spot. I thought Spoils had even though it was in a stat pad, he had a decent showing against us. He could fight for that 8th spot. I don't think it should be Jag.
Negi?
He shits
Why
wins,
not?
dude. But no, Nagy. When he's got to find that even buzz, right? If he's too sober, he's bad. If he's too drunk, he's bad. But if he's got that nice little buzz going, he's very serviceable.
When he's in the flow.
Yeah, the flow state. But yeah, I look at this. Rom's got to be more active and SB more. Obviously, he was in the match, but I think that was the first time I saw him on spec all season to contend for that second medic slot. I do think it really is Apollo. It's Apollo or Dilla, because Dilla didn't play too bad against us either. But yeah, I agree. Everybody else is kind of locked. You got anything, Draco, for that one?
No, I think just Leak, Sabo, Exodus Danny, Mercy, Apollo, and Dilla as meds, and then you have Shasta in there, and then swap him out if he's not playing well with either like Hop or let's see here. Hop. I mean, Spoils has not played terribly, so I wouldn't mind having him in there if Shasta doesn't show or someone else doesn't show. But yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Well, no more last minute questions.
I have one trolley one if you want to
go for it.
It's a quick one. Yeah, if we put Chica, Eva, and Amber in an octagon in a free for all match with UFC rules,
Chica.
who comes out?
Taking Chica right away.
You're taking Chica. I think Chica does
Jen.
it. Yeah, Chica for sure. I think.
Yeah.
And for chat, what do we got? Everyone's saying Ava. Everyone's saying Ava right now.
Chica grew up in the barrio with the cops on her porch all the time, and Eva and Amber are fucking white girls from Florida, so I take Chica.
Yeah. It's that, yeah, that wouldn't even be close. I don't even really know Amber that much, but yeah, it's going to be Chica. All right, well, that concludes Week 3's preview edition of USL Live Season 54. Thank you, Mecca and Draco, for joining me. Thanks for everybody that listened live, and thank you, MP and Victim, for the production aspect of it. Have a great night, guys.
Happy birthday, Paso.
Fuck that guy.